Candace Owens sat as guest co-host on The View Wednesday morning when Meghan Markle walked onto the stage for what was supposed to be a discussion about her new mental health initiative for young mothers. The audience gave Meghan warm applause, but Candace's expression suggested this wouldn't be the typical fawning celebrity interview. Whoopi started diplomatically. She said, "Meghan Markle joins us to discuss her important work on maternal mental health. Meghan, tell us about this new initiative." Meghan began her prepared talking points about supporting mothers, particularly women of color, who face postpartum challenges. For the first few minutes, the conversation remained civil and focused. Then Candace leaned forward. She said, "Meghan, it's interesting you're advocating for struggling mothers when you've lived one of the most privileged lives imaginable. How do you relate to a single mom working 3 jobs?" The table tensed immediately. This wasn't the softball question Meghan expected. Meghan maintained her composure. She said, "Well, Candace, mental health challenges don't discriminate. Wealth doesn't protect you from postpartum depression or anxiety." Candace smiled coldly. She said, "No, but wealth does protect you from choosing between therapy and groceries. It protects you from working while depressed because you can't afford not to. Your struggles aren't their struggles." Joy Behar tried to intervene. She said, "Candace, that's a bit harsh. Is it?" Candace turned to her briefly. "Or is it harsh that we pretend a duchess understands working-class struggles because she felt sad in a palace?" Meghan's carefully practiced demeanor began cracking. She said, "I've never claimed my experience is universal. I'm using my platform to help others." "Your platform?" Candace interrupted. "You mean the one you got by marrying a prince? The one you leveraged into Netflix deals while claiming you wanted privacy? That platform?" Sunny Hostin jumped in. She said, "Candace, Meghan has faced incredible challenges." "Has she?" Candace pulled out notes. "Let's review these incredible challenges. Living in a palace. Having staff. $1 million wardrobes. Private jets. Which part should struggling mothers relate to?" Meghan's voice tightened. She said, "You're reducing my entire experience to material things. I faced racism, isolation, mental health crises." "In a palace," Candace interjected. "You faced those things in a palace. With resources most women can't imagine. With exit options others don't have. That's not relatable, Meghan. That's insulting." Sarah Haynes weakly offered, "Can't we acknowledge that pain is pain regardless of circumstances?" Candace turned to her. She said, "Sure, if she was honest about it. But she's not. She cosplays as oppressed while living like royalty. She claims to be silenced while having a global platform. She preaches struggle from a $14 million mansion." Meghan stood up abruptly. She said, "I don't have to sit here and be attacked." "Attacked?" Candace stood too. "I'm asking you legitimate questions about your credibility. If that's an attack, maybe you're not cut out for advocacy. Real advocates face real scrutiny." The tension was electric. The audience was divided, some supporting Meghan, others nodding at Candace's points. Meghan tried to maintain dignity. She said, "I came here to discuss helping mothers, not to be interrogated about my life." "Your life is your credential." Candace shot back. "You're not a mental health professional. You're not a researcher. You're famous for marrying Harry. So yes, your life is relevant to your credibility." This moment exposes the collision between manufactured relatability and authentic questioning. When someone who trades on victimhood meets someone who refuses to validate it. When privilege dressed as struggle encounters someone willing to point out the costume. Whoopi tried to restore order. She said, "Ladies, let's refocus on the initiative." "The initiative is the problem," Candace continued. Another celebrity thinking their feelings qualify them as experts. Another privileged person monetizing other people's pain. Another example of elites pretending to understand struggle. Meghan's composure finally shattered. She said, "You don't know what I've been through. I know you left a life of unimaginable privilege claiming it was unbearable," Candace responded. "I know you've monetized every moment of your struggle. I know you've made millions telling Americans how hard it was to be a princess. That's what I know." She pulled out more documents. "Here's what else I know. Your Spotify deal collapsed because you barely produce content. Your Netflix projects focus on your grievances, not helping others. Your advocacy always centers you. That's not service, Meghan. That's narcissism." Joy tried again. She said, "Candace, you're being cruel." "I'm being honest," Candace corrected. Something nobody wants to be with Meghan because she cries racism when criticized. Well, I'm black too, so that card won't work. Let's talk about her real issues. Meghan was visibly shaking now. She said, "This is exactly the abuse I faced." Abuse. Candace's voice rose. Asking about your qualifications is abuse. Questioning your relatability is abuse. This is why people don't take you seriously, Meghan. Everything is abuse. Everything is racism. Everything is persecution. Maybe you're just not very good at this. She addressed the audience directly. This is what we're supposed to accept. A woman who married into the British royal family, lived in palaces, had every privilege imaginable, now wants to be our mental health guru because she felt sad. And we're supposed to pretend that makes sense. Sunny tried to defend Meghan. She said, "She's using her experience to help others." "She's using others' experiences to help herself," Candace corrected. Every initiative, every project, every interview becomes about her trauma. She doesn't elevate others' stories. She appropriates them. Meghan grabbed her things, tears visible. She said, "I won't be bullied." Bullied? Candace laughed. "I asked about your qualifications and relatability. If that's bullying, you definitely shouldn't be counseling vulnerable mothers. They need strength, not whatever this is." As Meghan headed for the exit, Candace delivered more truth. "This is perfect. The moment someone questions her, she runs. The moment someone doesn't validate her victim narrative, she claims abuse. This is who wants to help struggling mothers? Someone who can't handle basic questions." Whoopi stood up. She said, "Candace, that's enough." "It's never enough," Candace responded. "We keep letting celebrities play expert. We keep validating fake struggle. We keep pretending privilege is oppression. And women who really need help get Instagram quotes instead of real resources." Meghan turned back at the door, mascara running. She said, "You're a terrible person." "I'm an honest person," Candace replied. "And honestly, Meghan, you're not qualified to help anyone until you help yourself. Until you stop seeing every question as an attack. Until you realize that actual struggle doesn't come with Netflix deals." Security moved to escort Meghan out as she was becoming hysterical. Candace called after her. "This is what I mean. You can't even have a hard conversation. How are you going to help women in crisis when you become one every time someone challenges you?" As Meghan was led away, Candace addressed the remaining hosts. "You all enable this. You let celebrities cosplay as experts. You validate their fake struggles. You platform their narcissism. And real women who need real help get failed by fake advocates." Joy said angrily, "You just destroyed a woman on television." "I asked her legitimate questions she couldn't answer," Candace corrected. "If that destroys her, imagine what actual adversity would do." This is my point. She's not equipped for the role she's claiming. The show went to commercial in chaos. When they returned, both Candace and Meghan were gone. Within minutes, #Candace exposed Meghan was trending. The internet exploded with debate about privilege, advocacy, and authenticity. Meghan's PR team released a statement about coordinated attacks and abuse, but it rang hollow after the footage showed Candace simply asking pointed questions. Candace posted later, "I asked Meghan Markle how she relates to struggling mothers. She couldn't answer and fled." This is who wants to be your mental health advocate. A woman who can't handle questions about her qualifications. Make it make sense. The incident sparked broader conversations about celebrity advocacy and whether personal experience equals expertise. Mental health professionals weighed in, with many agreeing that while Meghan's intentions might be good, her approach centered herself rather than those she claimed to help. At a conference weeks later, Candace elaborated, "We have to stop letting celebrities monetize other people's pain. We have to stop pretending that feeling sad in a palace qualifies you to counsel struggling mothers. Real advocacy requires more than a platform. It requires genuine understanding, qualifications, and the ability to handle scrutiny." Meghan showed she is none of those. The revolution wasn't in the confrontation itself. It was in refusing to validate performative advocacy. It was in asking the questions others were too polite to ask. It was in proving that sometimes, the Empress not only has no clothes, she can't even handle being told that. And that's exactly who shouldn't be counseling vulnerable people, no matter how famous they are.